Former president, ANC president, that is, Jacob Zuma's disciplinary hearing has been postponed to the 23rd of this month. That's next week, Tuesday. The former ANC leader was due to appear before the ANC's disciplinary hearing. This is on charges of contravening the party's constitution by endorsing another political party. Let's get some perspective on this now. And we're joined by ANC Veterans League Deputy Leader, Dr. Mavuso Msimang. Dr. Msimang, good evening to you and thank you very much for your time. The ANC pressing ahead with this disciplinary hearing. The probability here is that the party leadership wants to do things by the book. Are they absolutely on the right track here?
Yes, I guess if that's how they want to do it, so must it be done. But I have to say there's a lot of frustration among even some of the ANC people, those I'm close to, about this process. The fact that this thing was delayed this long is a bit strange. As soon as he said he was going to be voting for another party, clearly that would have been the time when Balula mentioned that by saying that he was automatically expelling himself from the ANC. They should have acted on that, held this thing remotely or whatever, and got this thing finished and done. There are lots of things that need to be done right now. There's a new government of national unity and things that must be done instead of this distraction. I think it's a serious distraction.
I get a sense from you that you perhaps feel that this is an exercise in futility.
It pretty much is. I really think so. I don't know what is hoped to be achieved by doing this. Really, you know, we are in a situation now where the ANC was not given a mandate to continue in government by the people on the 29th of May. It has had to seek the support of others to make sure that a government can be formed that would govern this country. That's the priority that we should be looking at, really not these things which just give so much oxygen to something that's totally, really unimportant.
If it is a waste of time, how should the ANC deal with what appears to be a demand from the former president that this hearing be held in person? And in all likelihood, this is intended for him to have maximum support outside whatever venue it is being held.
Whatever the intention is, the ANC really ought to be doing this thing now that it's committed to doing it, and make sure that the right steps are followed in terms of getting the charge, you know, properly set up, and go ahead with the hearing. There is absolutely no need to be entertaining things about conditionalities that don't really assist anything at all. The case is they believe that by committing to, undertaking to vote for another party, he is in breach of the ANC constitution. I agree with them. So I really think, I don't know how one can emphasize this, and I've not been mandated by anybody, but the frustration is palpable among the people that this is a waste of time. This is really giving oxygen to something that need not be at all. We're playing into the hands of whatever Jacob Zuma wants to do.
I was reading a newspaper report today, and the Secretary General, Balula, was questioned there, and it took us back to what he said in December when he was announcing at that time that the former president was now suspended from ANC activities, or from the ANC. And at that time, he said that there would be efforts made to try and reconcile the two leaders, namely President Ramaphosa, the leader of the ANC now, and the former leader of the ANC, Jacob Zuma. Is that something that you still think is important to be done?
Well, we were never told what the issue was between Jacob Zuma and President Ramaphosa. So it'd be difficult to talk about a reconciliation. What Zuma has done to the ANC, and again, thanks to the laxity of the ANC, is to go out and really seriously abuse the name, the intellectual property, the trade name, a hallowed name of Umkhonto weSizwe, and associate himself. I know he didn't name the party as such, but by joining common cause with people who are abusing, really, it's, I would have thought the energies of the ANC would be directed at making sure this is a bigger charge than this business of leaving the organization, abusing the name of Umkhonto weSizwe, which was set up by the organization when the ANC was banned, and the ANC decided that it would continue the struggle through different means. 30 years on, negotiations start. And they start because the Umkhonto weSizwe, working together with other forces in the country and the international community, had forced the apartheid government to come to a negotiating table to negotiate a change, negotiate themselves actually out of office. Once that was achieved, Umkhonto weSizwe had to be wrapped up, and that was done and put away. And all the people who fought under its banner and died, some of them, in the gallows, should be respected by anybody who claims any association with Umkhonto. You can't just take this name and put a collection of people who have nothing to do with what Umkhonto was set up to do and give them the name. That's what the ANC ought to be focusing on, not to go to court about these things, really create a narrative that will tell the people today, younger ones, and people in the future that when you talk about Umkhonto weSizwe, you're not talking about this thing that is the source of so much unnecessary discussion.
You talk about the abuse of the name Umkhonto weSizwe. I'd like to digress a little bit. Earlier this week, we heard from the SACP leader, Soli Mapaila, rather. And Mr. Mapaila, I think, expressing real frustration. In fact, I don't want to speak for him. We do have a soundbite of his. Let's just take a listen to it quickly, and then we'll get back into the conversation.
We said it as a Communist Party the day after the elections were announced. We met as the Alliance Secretariat. We said to Comrade Mbalula, and I don't want this matter to be abused. We said at this moment, the critical point is that the liberation forces must secure political power, the leadership of this transition. We said so. But we anchored this on the basis of a process we characterize as no with the neoliberal forces of the DA and no with the counter-revolutionary forces of MK Party. This was our stance, which also was accepted by the extended Politburo of the Communist Party. So we took this line as we engaged with our allies. In that process, we were then left with engaging possibly the forces of the EFF and others to set up a minority government. And we realized that if we leave this to other people when we've said it must happen, it will not happen. I took the initiative. I called the EFF. I had several meetings with them. So it's for the record. You will know I have meetings with them. To ask them that, guys, let's join these forces and keep out these right-wing reactionary forces out of the process. The first day I went to meet Comrade Floyd is the day after I buried my brother. I lost my brother when I was at the Sangoba rally. I went to see him. I said, hey, man, comrade, you can't continue this way. I went to the ANC, it was back and forth, begging people to actually focus on the possible revolutionary path. It will be better to be irritated by the EFF in cabinet than to be irritated by the neoliberal forces who want to be dominant and take control of the revolution.
Dr. Msimang, I did say I was digressing a little bit. Solly Mapaila, at some point during that address, he also did decry what he said was the abuse of the MK name. I'd like to move on from that now and perhaps focus the attention on the big day that is coming tomorrow, President Ramaphosa outlining to the country and indeed through Parliament the 7th administration's path here over the next 5 years, what this government of national unity is going to be doing. Does it help for alliance partners to still be speaking in this way when a government has been formed, or should we anticipate trouble ahead?
I'm very sorry to hear about Comrade Solly Mapaila's loss. That's really sad. May rest in peace. You know, the situation in which we are now is that the electorate did not give the ANC the power, the mandate to continue in governance. It gave the ANC only 40%, and for the ANC to continue in governance, it needs to cross the 50% line. That 50% line has to be done by people who are not necessarily friends of the ANC, but people who have a commitment to see to it that this country is run and run properly. You know, I hear much about the left wing and right wing and all of those things. The fact of the matter is that what brought us to where we are had nothing to do with right-wing organizations. It had everything to do with us as the ANC failing to deliver on the commitments that we had made to the people. We've been told time and again that we are very comfortable with corrupt people among our ranks. There are high levels of unemployment, all the things that you know about. All of that happened on our watch. What we need to do is to get out of the hole realistically and not really through slogans or anything, and get people who would be committed, to making sure that this country is run. There was a time when Kgalema Motlanthe used to say, you know, if you continue disappointing the people and you don't heed their warning, ANC that is to say, then go and sit in the opposition benches. Yes, that would be nice. It's not feasible now because the parties that are raised, that are part of that are in parliament and raged against the organization, the ANC, cannot come together to form the government. That's just a statement of fact. So the ANC has an obligation to ensure that it continues in government in a manner that will allow it to raise budgets and get them approved, that votes of no confidence. I honestly don't see this fuss about you can't work with the DA because it's right wing. You need to get out of the hole into which we're not thrown by the DA or anybody. They have been running their own little administrations. They've got limitations, very serious limitations that have kept them to below 30% of the national vote. Oh. But let's talk about the need to deliver services, the need to fulfill things that we failed to deliver in the past. I don't think that would be obstructed by our working with the DA and others now in the government of national unity. Question of comrades, if people are committed to the Constitution of South Africa, whether we like it or not, we are heavily indebted as a country, and people, the people who finance this, the financial institutions keep on rolling, the payment of their loans. You have to act in such a way that this doesn't happen, because for all the revolution you have, this thing would just not take off at all.
All right.
Run a minority government. Well, if you are doing a minority government and everybody else is ranged against you, I can assure you, you will not have a government to run.
Mavuso Msimang, leader of the ANC Veterans League, thank you very much.